A local nonprofit organization's mission is improving safety, permanency, and well-being for all children in Polk, Highlands, and Hardee counties. November is National Adoption Month, and they need your help. All the details are coming up next on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Tina Mann, and joining me in the studio today are Ashley Beckwith, the adoption specialist with Heartland for Children, and Jessica Locke, who is a local adoptive parent. Welcome to the show. As you know, adoption is near and dear to my heart, as I have 3 adoptive children of my own, so Adoption Month is a big deal. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. Well, November being National Adoption Month, we take it as a time to celebrate and honor adoption, especially through foster care. Just kind of recognize and celebrate families who have adopted or are in the process of adopting.
And how many local children are currently available for adoption right now?
In our our circuit, which is Polk, Highlands, and Hardee County, we currently have about 20 children who are available for adoption and don't have a forever family.
That's a lot. You guys do a lot of great work, both pre-adoption, post-adoption, everything like that. And you have quite a bit of experience as an adoptive parent yourself. Why don't you tell us your experience?
Well, we first heard of the need for adoption when we were 25, and I was teaching high school at the time, and our church was really involved in a foster care ministry, and they presented the need to us. And so a Saturday evening in April of 2008, we went home and decided that we were going to adopt a teenage girl. We went through the process, and through volunteering and getting our home study done, we met our daughter at a foster care picnic, and that was in April of 2009, so it was just about a year later, and our adoption was final in February of 2010 after doing our visits and process and her moving in. She is now 22 years old and will graduate from the University of North Florida in December with a degree in construction management, and she has a job lined up.
Already. That is fantastic.
Already.
So you've actually kind of done 2 of people's fears. One, people are afraid to adopt teenagers, and you've also adopted a sibling group as well. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell us their ages and that story?
Yeah, so adopting a teenager at 27 was a great plan because we were empty nesters at 31.
Oh my.
So at that point our house was empty, and we were looking to expand our family. And our experience with foster care adoption, we knew that the biggest needs were for teens and sibling groups. So we've done option A, why not do option B? No, but we got connected again with Ashley Beckwith and updated our home study. And then we learned of a sibling group of 4.
Wow.
And they came into our lives in January of 2016. They were placed in our homes of April of 2016, and our adoption was final in July of 2016. And now they are 10, 9, 8, and 5.
That is amazing. That is amazing and brave. And it's quite a process. So why don't we talk about a little bit about becoming an adoptive parent, how that even works?
Great. Yeah. So Heartland has information nights for both foster care and adoption. And so if you are interested in adoption, we have those adoption informational nights to educate families on the process, to tell you about the classes that are required of families. It's a 7-week Adoption 101 class, the paperwork that's involved and the background checks and everything that we do. But it's a very seamless process. I teach the classes along with my co-trainer, and we work alongside with the families, assessing them and making sure that they have the skills required to parent a child who has been through a lot of trauma. Because of course, adoption through foster care is a little bit different in the factor that all of our kids have been through some substantial trauma with abuse, neglect, or abandonment. And so we try our best to train and prepare families for that journey of adoption, and we stick alongside them through that journey until finalization. And then we also have post-adoption services and supports at Heartland as well. So we walk alongside families as they need that support even after adoption.
Yeah, as I said, it's quite a process, and they do really do a good job of preparing you and trying to give you some realities with regard to it, because I don't know if it's your experience, but a lot of the time people are like, well, why don't you just do this with your kid? And it's like, you have to understand, you have to come from a trauma perspective. You have to address those issues. They're not going to act always like you expect them or a biological child. And so then, like in my house, it's very structured. Like everything has to be structured, because the minute that it's not structured, they don't feel safe, they act out, or stuff happens. But everybody's like, why are you so strict? Why are you so regimented? And and they don't quite understand. So it's, you guys kind of prepare for that and things like that. That's one of the things you learn in those classes is, recognizing trauma and the ways to work with it. So let's dispel some of the myths. I know, again, teen and sibling groups, people are like, I don't know if I can handle it. Cost.
Yes.
Let's talk about the cost of adoption.
Yes. So with adoption through the foster care system, there is little to no cost. Essentially, a lot of the expenses related to legal fees or any of those factors of the home study process are all covered. So there's virtually no expense other than the extra cost of caring for a child, of course. There's also a lot of really great benefits as well to adopting, where children are able to get Medicaid until they're 18. There is possibly a monthly stipend to even help offset the costs associated with our kids' special needs that they may have because of their trauma. And also, all of our kids who are adopted through the state also get a tuition exemption. So when they do it comes time to go to college, they're able to go to a college, university, or technical program without the cost of the tuition.
So how can someone who is interested in adopting, where do they get more information?
Right. Well, there's a few different places. Definitely Heartland for Children's website is a great starting point. We have a lot of information on there, especially in regards to the myths in the process. So that's a great starting point. Or coming to one of our adoption informational nights is also a great place to get additional information.
So let's really get more information about that. Is there a place that they can actually view available children?
Yes, on our Heartland for Children website, we have something called the Heart Gallery, and it features our kids who are available for adoption that don't currently have a forever family. And so you'll be able to see firsthand the teens. All the children on that website are currently 10 to 17 in ages. So that's a good place to kind of look and see which one of our kids are currently waiting for a family.
Right. And are you guys having any special events during the month, or are those pretty?
Yeah. So every November we like to celebrate our families. So families who are adopting in the month of November, we are sure to be present at their adoption hearings. We provide cake and lemonade, and we do family photos for them and provide the photos to them. And so we like to celebrate them at the courthouse. But then we also do a special adoption celebration every year. And every year it's a little bit different. We invite every family who's adopted over the last year just to come and celebrate. And this year we're doing like a picnic style with drums and yoga, so we're hoping that it's going to be fun for all the families.
That sounds really exciting. Yeah. So as part of your adoptive journey, what would you give advice to people? Like, what advice would you give?
I would say, I think people assume that it's hard, and I would say that it is very hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's also the best thing we've ever done. Just to see their lives turn around and overcome so much, and just to be able to see where their lives can go now, just to be able to realize their full potential, and in the big picture of things, in the long scope of being able to have a career and be a productive citizen and to break the cycle of abuse, but also in the little things. Our youngest 4 had never been to the beach before us, and they had lived in Florida their whole lives. So just the joy of seeing them even dip their toes in the ocean and scream with glee was just magical. And so it will be hard, but there's so much joy along the way.
So your story is absolutely amazing, and I after adopting 3 of my own, I can't imagine adopting 4 at once, because everybody always thinks I'm insane for adopting 3 at one time. But I would encourage people to attend the adoption nights and to kind of get that information. If somebody's on the fence and they're not entirely sure they want to adopt, but they have, something's tugging at their heartstrings saying, how can I help? Are there ways for them to donate or serve or anything else?
So there's a few different options. Definitely Heartland does accept donations if anybody feels like they want to donate directly to Heartland for Children. There's also a lot of local ministries that partner alongside and help Heartland for Children. There's an opportunity to be like a guardian ad litem volunteer, and that way you can help be a voice of a child and going through this dependency court system in foster care. So that's a way of helping without committing to adoption. There's also being a foster parent, and so that's not committing long term, but it's providing a temporary place for a child to call home and being a part of that healing process, even if it's only temporary.
Right.
And so that's a really great journey that Heartland for Children actually has foster care information nights as well for those who are interested in being a foster parent.
And that is a huge need here in the Tri-County area. I mean, there are so many kids that need help. But I think it is important to note that the kids that are eligible for adoption are not, you don't have to worry about the same, their parent's going to come back in. They are ready for adoption. You don't have to worry about dealing with the parent, correct?
That's correct. So every child that a family might see on the website for the state of Florida that's on the web is available for adoption where the parental rights have been fully terminated.
Right. I know that's another concern that people are like, well, I hear all the time about, and it's usually a foster care situation where they've had this baby and then the mom finally gets her rights back and then they have to give the baby back. But that really, because it's straight adoption, you don't have to worry about that as much. And do you guys still encourage that if you are wanting to adopt, for sure to go into those classes and not into like foster to adopt?
Yeah, so Heartland is unique in that we don't technically do foster to adoption. It's not that some of our foster parents don't adopt, but we try to keep the 2 tracks separate, where if you're focused on you really want to adopt, that you go down that track, whereas if you're open to co-parenting and helping a child be back with their family and helping that parent become stabilized, there's that track for being a foster parent. There's a great need for both.
Right.
And sometimes we have adoptive parents who turn and become foster parents, and vice versa, foster parents who become adoptive parents. And so it's a really beautiful journey. I think as long as you truly understand trauma and you're wanting to help heal not only a child but the whole family, and that's where your heart is, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for families like that.
Yeah, that's the essence of a good adoptive family. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have, a giant house, and you just need a lot of love and to be able to provide for them. So,
Absolutely.
you guys are doing amazing work. I honor you as a fellow adoptive parent.
You too.
And I thank you so much for coming out today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
National adoption events will be held in communities nationwide during the month of November. In our circuit, the court and communities will be opening their doors and hearts to finalize adoptions of foster children and raise awareness of the children in foster care still waiting to find permanent, loving families. For more information, you can give them a call at 863-519-8900, extension 289, or check them out on the web at www.heartlandforchildren.com.